Everyone is great. Zare Child is with you. You are on the streamer channel with magic, on the channel on which the words and what was so possible. They really acquire some kind of physical embodiment. Therefore, make yourself comfortable. I'll try to show you how in 15 minutes, 30. You can make a cool/sane design in your channels. Somewhere around 80% of streamers can't do this, while others do it for money. So make yourself comfortable. Let's get started. In order to start doing it beautifully, we need to install only 5 plugins. To do this, open the StreamUp plugin installer program from my favorite plugin reviewer Andy Lippy. First of all, do not forget to specify the path to the root folder from the ABS program. For most likely you have a C program file with both studios. In my case it will be slightly different, because I use a different ABS to write ABS in ABS. Check the custom box, make a clear section, choose the plugin's 3D effect, advanced mask, muff plugin, aka muff transient, and a plugin that will make us a glow outline or shadow, strictly shadow. And click Download Plugins. That's it. After installing the plugins, just close the window and run both. Look for a link to the Stream plugin installer at the bottom under the video. In case you already have some ready-made collections with scenes, then just add the scenes that I'm going to show you now to my existing one. If you just started streaming and you don't have anything yet, then just create a new one and name it as you want, as you like. I called mine May Scenes. We create 5 starting scenes to begin with. The first scene will be called the intro. Let's call the second scene a chat. This is a stage for chatting. The third scene is called the game. Yes, this is the stage where we will play and chat naturally. And don't forget to make a small separator for service scenes. Next, we will create scenes such as a camera and a chat scene. And if you follow my channel carefully, or maybe not very carefully, then go look at the video about audio. In addition to these 5 scenes, we will need one more scene for the audio tracks. The scene that was at the beginning, just delete it. That's it. This is a basic set of scenes that probably every streamer needs, so you can take this as patterns and move on. To quickly create an intro, let's use the resource Placid.no. Go to the section Design Gaming, Twitch Template. Check the box next to Intro Maker. Here you choose a template, and then you can customize it. For example, you can change the images that appear by selecting your own, or by downloading what is already available on the platform. There will be one or more text fields in different templates. You can fill in as your heart desires, but do not forget that not all fonts presented on the site support the Russian language. You can also add your channel logo in almost all templates. In some templates, you can change the position of the label. If you have finished creating an intro, and you can add several such segments, then move the mouse to the lower left corner. Click on the triangle and wait for the site to make you a full video. After that, you will be shown a preview of what you have done, and click the Download button to save it to your computer. Since most of the resources on the internet nowadays are paid, so we are offered to pay money or download for free. But in worse quality and with a watermark. It's okay, we take it and download it for free, because we didn't spend hours to make ourselves a screensaver. In addition to the author effect, but spent a couple of minutes and created a small intro for ourselves. After that, we rather run to the ABS and add our new video to the intro scene. Select the media source and call the intro video. Then click the Browse button and choose our newly created intro. Do not forget to click the repeat check mark. Here is our new video added to the scene. Now we need to stretch it to hide the watermark from the resource where we made this video. If desired, you can add a correction color filter, where you can adjust the color of the video to match the style of your channel. Well, do not forget to mix the video, as the sound will come out through the Widgets service. Now let's move on to one of the main streamer interactions with the viewer. This is the addition of a camera. Let's add a video capture device. Let's call it the main camera. In the list of sources, you search for a camera and select it. Now we need to frame the camera. We will do this with the help of the advanced mask filter. Let's call this filter camera cropping. Click on the button in the filter center of the mask and adjust the tire and height of the location of this mask on your camera. Also, you center a little after you have applied the mask. Now go to the Chats tab, add the camera as a clone there, using the source clone filter that we previously installed. We call the newly created element clone camera chat, since we will have the camera on the stage with the chat, so as not to get confused later. In the cloning sources, select our camera created earlier. We choose a place where we would like the camera to be on the stage with the chat. Then, using the advanced street mask filter, let's make our camera, for example, square. Let's call the camera's framing filter chat. In case we suddenly have to remove it from a large list of filters, we will not get confused, and we will find it quickly right away. Then we poke the X needles, the width, the height, and adjust the camera size we need. You probably saw other streamers, how they round off the corners of the camera. Here it can be done with one setting. At the same time, this setting is responsible for rounding all 4 corners at once, so you can round each corner separately. Now let's add a camera to the game scene. Let's call it a clone camera game. The procedure is exactly the same as on the chat scene. For example, let's place the camera in the middle on the left, since in most games this field is not occupied by anything. And you are unlikely to have to change the camera location very often. Well, so that our camera does not bulge too much, let's narrow it down a little by attaching a mask to it again, using the filter you have already used on the scene with the advanced mask chat. Well, do not forget to make the camera bite and add rounding of the corners. That's it. Now we have 2 scenes with 2 cameras, but switching between them, the camera just somehow disappears. It appears very boring. Let's add a little bit of action. And to do this, we need to add a transition effect. In case you suddenly lost this dock panel, go to the tab at the top of the dock panel and check the box next to the transition between scenes. On the panel that appears, click the plus sign and add the effect of movement. All settings can be left as default for now, but do not forget to set the duration to 1000 milliseconds for a smoother picture. Now you can see how we switch between scenes, see the smooth movement of the camera. To make our scene more fun, let's add some background to it. To do this, just add a picture. Well, for clarity, let's add a game to the game scene. Sometimes applications can be harmful and are not captured with the default settings. To do this, select the method of capturing Windows 10 and higher. I think it's not a problem, yes, where to get an ordinary vertical chat. To do this, you can use, for example, the service of Danishin Alerts. There is a tab, there is a multi-shot tab. And either go to the .com stream element in order to make your overlay there. It is more customized. But it does not support digging. To add a vertical chat in our tab, we add the source browser to the created chat and insert it. We call the chat. and insert the link received from the site where we made this widget. How do I make a chat widget? I think you can easily find any kind of videos on the internet. There are a lot of them. We make the width of the field and the height 900 by 900. Let's all stretch the scene up as much as possible. That's it, and we'll write a few words to understand where our chat is. We go to the scene in the chat and add our source. Do not forget that we are adding sources to the scene in the form of source clones. More precisely, source clones. We take and arrange our chat somehow beautifully. So I slightly reduced the font in the chat, the size, so that it would fit in more. Here you can safely throw some filter on it, whatever you like, and in our case, so that the chat is not cut into the ceiling. We need to shade it a little there. To do this, we apply our favorite advanced mask. Will I write a little in the chat, so that the chat will go up by itself? As you can see, the chat is clipped, yes. Ugly. It must be done beautifully. To do this, we go to our filter crop and select a parameter such as feather. And there are several parameters here. There is an average one, which, well, conditionally from the border to the left and to the right, there are internal ones, which are from the border down inside, and the outer one, which blurs our borders from the border to the outside. Now look how it will be. Slightly adjust the upper border so that it is lower. Well, we lowered the frame a little, we imagine, that's all, and now we have it already. Chat disappears beautifully, smoothly. Then, when you move to another scene, you will see that the elements appear and disappear very ugly. If the camera goes back and forth beautifully, then the rest of the elements are pretty sloppy. So we take this clone of the chat, take copy, and paste it here. It is mandatory to insert a link. And on this stage, let's push the chat aside here. This means that in this frame, if we conditionally divide the scenes into frames, CAD 1 is a chat and frame 2 is a game, then. In the first frame, we have the chat extended, in the second, it is pushed. And the muff transient plugin shows where the object has moved from one frame to another, and therefore makes a smooth animation to another scene. And you ask, what to do with those elements that do not move from scene to scene? After all, we're not going to drag one scene completely, yes, all the elements to another. We just need to animate only those elements that we want to animate. Here, for example, how it was with the chat, yes, that it crawls away. You can also make other elements so that they move to another part of the screen. Here. But there are elements that remain on the old stage, but they will not get any animation, they just disappear now. Now I'll show you how to do it. Let's add another transition called fading. Well, I like it that way. Here I will choose one of my favorite fades of this cloud, and set the smoothness to 50. You can stick a preview and see how it will be. To do this, then poke 3 dots under the motion plugin and click Properties. Here we have appearing elements and disappearing field elements. In the magnification section, we uncheck the box and click the No position. Do not forget to put the transition that we just created, fading. Here we repeat the same thing. Click OK and check how it will look. Now we have quite organically changed those elements that are not involved in other scenes. Do you see how they flow into each other? In my opinion, it's already beautiful. But, on the stage where we play as a rule, big streamers, you may not be very big, there is such a thing as a runner from below. The only downside is that it won't support the drop. But we hope in the future, when creating a pretty op right, yes, it will be available in this type of chat as well. Do you know other ways to make a horizontal chat cluster? Write in the comments. Well, I'll leave a link to the horizontal chat overlay under the video. Keep in mind that a link to the overlay will take you to a resource called Stream Elements. So I recommend registering there. Quite an interesting resource. Then you will have this plugin. Click Edit. Then here is a slide at the chat, and you can make various settings here for your channel design. Well, or just click Copy Link, and let's go add it to our stage. Here on the stage, we create such a thing as a browser and call the chat game horizontal. Don't forget that width. You are asked, by the way, when you add a plugin, you will be asked what permission you use. If 1080 is pet, it means that your screen resolution is 1920 by 1080. Click OK, and do not forget to tick the control box through the abs sound, because it will start to peel, and here. Do not forget to immediately mix it up the tracks, or even hide it altogether. Well, now I'm going to try to write something in the chat and see how it works. As I said, the size of the letters can be changed to make it smaller, more messages fit on the screen, and so on. Everything is to your taste. And fonts naturally also fit your channel. Don't forget to put everything on. Don't forget to add tracks to our audio on stage. Guide, as I said earlier, a little earlier on the channel. Here I'll just add my microphone for now. All at different prices, we add our microphone and other audio device. And one more small additional nuance that will diversify your scene a little. Actually, why did we install the 3D Transform plugin? Now I'll show you, maybe some of them will use it, maybe someone won't. For example, at our game we want to widen the camera a little here, yes, but here it's narrower. On the camera element, add 3 transformation arcs and select the perspective. We poke the slider along the y-axis, move it left and right, look as we like. If you see that your camera is resting on the ceiling or on the floor, try to play with the field of view slider. Well, that's it, our 3D camera is ready. Let's see how it turned out. For a clearer understanding of the use of the following plugins, I will disable this 3D conversion. By the way, the Advanced Set Mask plugin has not only a rectangular shape, but also many other shapes. Try to play around. For example, now let's try to make a round camera. To do this, Select the shape you are interested in the shape field. We're going to choose a circle now. There are settings such as the radius and zoom of the camera to make it further closer, and left-right along the x-axis and y-shift. Well, and the last line of the parameters is Fedrin, who talked about it a little earlier when they set up the chat blur. Here's how, for example, it can be fun to do on stage with a game. And as you can see, the camera flows from round to square and back, even though our edges are completely different. I will return the filter to its original position to show you the next joke. To add the next cool effect, we will need the straw glue shadow plugin, but we have already installed it in advance. So go ahead and use the shadow. In this plugin, you can play with the size of the shadow, with its intensity, with the angle, with the distance, and even choose a custom color, not only black. As you can see, the shadow began to move a little on the border of the camera. To do this, you need to reduce the camera size in the service source, but only with the help of the Advanced Mask filter. Do not forget that since we changed the dimensions in the source, then in the other two scenes where we added the Advanced Mask filter, we also need to adjust it, since the image dimensions have changed a little. Well, this is such a beautiful shadow we got. Let's now try to use the stroke filter called strings. Here you can play with the stroke size. The parameters set will show how far this stroke is from the object, or closer. And you can also set the stroke color, for example, for the design of your channel. Don't forget that the filter order is very important. Filters act on each other in turn from top to bottom, so you can observe how the shadow is painted, or the frame itself is painted. Now let's add a shadow to the game scene, but don't forget that we changed the camera dimensions. And we need to edit the Advanced Mask filter on the camera itself. The filter has been edited. Now you can add a shadow filter and set the settings corresponding to our taste. Now let's add a glow filter, that is, glow. Do not forget about the order. We do not want to paint the shadow. Then we bring everything to a general view, using the parameters size, intensity, color. In general, just like that, using two plugins there and making a couple of clicks, we have such a beautiful frame with a shadow, and a beautiful outline, and a beautiful camera view. Let's add a couple more small details that will complement our beauty of the scene. To do this, right-click on the camera and select Shift to the right in the Display Transition option, and Shift to the left in the Autopsy transition. Don't forget to check the timers so that our transition is more or less smooth, so if you don't have 1000 there, you can play around of course, but I set myself 1000. Well, and now I click on the eye either on the Stream Deck, or by putting the Move key on your searches, and or in some other magical ways. You can beautifully open and show the camera. Let's do the same for the camera on the chat stage, and do the same for the chat, so that if anything at a convenient or inconvenient moment, it was possible to hide them. Well, now they are doing it back and forth beautifully, and you can also do it all on the hot buttons or on the Stream Deck, to put and turn it off at your request. We also forgot a little bit about one thing. It's about our horizontal chat. We don't have it animated a bit. Then if we have a vertical chat moving back and forth, let's make this chat too. To do this, just copy and paste. Ctrl can be done from a game to a chat, and we will move this chat down a little, and we will have a beautifully animated one. Well, that's all right now. Everything floats out, disappears beautifully, everything works harmoniously one after another. So we have an intro scene, a chat, and a game ready, which switch between themselves smoothly, beautifully, animatedly, and on which we can turn off the chat, turn off the camera. They float out from the side. Everything is harmonious, everything is beautiful. Well, that's it, guys. Literally, there are 30 to 60 minutes, and everything is ready. All the beauty comes out, moves apart, and if you also move apart, be sure to write in the comments. Don't forget to like this video if you really ran to use my tips, plugins or links to programs that I give in the video below. Don't be lazy, poke one mouse click, and don't forget to follow too. Here. And if you want something specific, original and in general, yes, look at how a bunch of tons of plugins work. Welcome to my streams, where I make a custom design, show how it looks to me on Boost. There I share some secrets with deeper ones in terms of how to make your stream more interactive and memorable for viewers. Here, but that's probably it, guys. I hope you had fun, it's clear and quickly figure it out, and everyone will have a beautiful design. Everyone, let's all be happy. See you on the channel, on Twitch, drop by. I will be glad to see everyone in the chat.